5 p.m. We have all trustees present. Public comments on closed session items. At this time, any person may address the board on any closed item session. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the board cannot consider issues or take action on requests during this comment period. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item, 20 minutes per topic. And seeing how we only have one lovely audience member, I will assume there are no public comments. On to closed session. C1, public employee performance evaluation, superintendent. C2, conference with labor negotiators. So we will go into closed session at 5 p.m. Okay, so we will reconvene to open session at 6 p.m. And could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on to approval of agenda order. The board reserves the right to change the order in which the agenda items are discussed and/or acted upon at this meeting. Subject to further action by the board, the agenda for this meeting is to be approved as presented. Items may be added to this agenda for discussion or action only as permitted by the Brown Act. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda order?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Okay, I have a motion from trustee Lopez White. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Trustee Ogamian seconds. Preferential?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And all are here. On to public comment on consent and non-agenda items. The public may address the board on any consent or non-agenda item. Pursuant to the Brown Act, during this period, the board cannot consider issues or take actions on any item not listed on the agenda. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item, 20 minutes per topic. Do we have any public comment? Just gonna give everybody a quick minute. Okay. There was, on the closed session reportable action taken, there was none to report. So on to consent calendar. The CUSD Board of Trustees utilizes a consent calendar for items that require the approval of the board, but are of routine nature. They act upon these items in one vote. Any member may remove an item for additional questions. Board members receive their agendas and backup materials 7 days in advance of our meetings. They have the opportunity to ask questions and to do research prior to our meeting. It is their intent to handle the routine items expeditiously, so they have time to address issues that are more serious. Would anyone like to pull an item for question? Or do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve consent calendar.
Okay, so I have a motion from trustee Garrison.
I'll second.
Okay, trustee Zekowitz. Preferential?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And all are present. So, moving on to our association reports. CSEA.
Good evening. My name is Carlos Jimenez. I'm the chapter president for our CACA chapter 170. Just wanted to let you guys know that we're moving forward with the school district. We're setting up some dates to reconvene our negotiations. So, yeah, look forward to negotiating next month.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Yep,
much.
thank you guys.
Now on to Teachers Association of Cloverdale.
Good evening. So TAC's really happy to report on having a tentative agreement for last year's contract. We're really hopeful that negotiations for this year's contract will start and conclude in a timely manner. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think maybe we need to have another committee. I'm taking a pivot here. Like in basketball, I'm doing a front pivot. And maybe we have a committee like this, but it could be reworked. I'm thinking about a budget committee. And this would be a committee with district management, a TAC member from each school site, a CSEA member from each site, a parent from each school site, that would take a real deep dive look into Cloverdale's budget and take like a line by line look at the budget. Where is our money going? Because we have a lot of money going out in expenditures. Obviously, as with any committee, not able to make decisions, you as the school board ultimately make the budget decisions for CUSD. But maybe if we have some people who are spending some real time taking a look at our budget, we could come up with some areas where we might be able to save some money. And the reason I'm thinking about this is looking at the significant increase every year that we seem to have in services and other operating expenses. And that doesn't include any salaries in that. So in 2020-21 school year, services and other operating expenses was 13.79% of CUSD's budget for the total outgo. Last year, 18.98% of total outgo was at services and other operating expenses. This year is budgeted to be 19.71% of our total outgo. That's a big portion. It seems like it's just increasing every year. It's getting more, I'm not saying this very well. It's a significant part of our budget. And I know that there are things that we can't control. We can't control water, we can't control PG&E, but maybe there might be some other expenses that we can control. But we don't know if we don't really take a line-by-line look and see what we could do. And I know it's possible because there's at least 3 other districts in Sonoma County who have their total expenditures for services and other operations that are decreasing. Their overall percentage of their budget is actually going down, not increasing. So if they can do it, I think we could do the same. At least I hope we could. And then lastly, another pivot. I'd like to invite any of you, all of you, one at a time, please come in our classrooms, and not just for like a 5-minute, hey, how you doing, what's going on, but come spend a significant amount of time at our school in our rooms. I think if you spend an hour or even all day in the class, you might get a better understanding of what it is that we do each and every day. I had a student tally mark every time my name was called. And it's beyond my math capabilities, how many times my name is called every single period. And when I have 150 student contacts a day, it's way more. I'm over 1,000 times a day. I'm getting Miss Kelly, Miss Kelly, Miss Kelly, Miss Kelly. Like, Miss Kelly can talk to one person at a time, but I have the same conversation over and over. They're just very excited and they want my attention, which I appreciate. But I think that's the same for all teachers in our district. And I think it might be really beneficial if you guys could really take a look and hear it and see it and feel it, what we're going through. It's a job, like, I love my job. We have, I think, the best students in Sonoma County, at least the nicest students in Sonoma County. And this is the hardest year, just because of time and the increased load. And it's super, super stressful. It was really hard for me to come back from home tonight, but you guys are important, and I think this is important, so I did. And I would hope that you think it's important as well to come step into our classrooms in more than a 5-minute, like just seeing what's going on. Really, please come into our classrooms, feel what we're going through, hear what we're going through, and experience it. And I think that could really be a benefit for everyone. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to district reports. Up first, Jefferson.
Good evening. My board report is to you as submitted.
Any questions, anything from the board? Okay, thank you so much. On to Washington.
Good evening, and you also have my report as submitted. I also wanted to give a shout out to the Cloverdale Police Department for offering our students a challenge, and the grade who behaved the best, as graded by me, got a big pizza party. So we determined that the 7th graders were least in trouble, and they got a huge pizza party with all the fixins by the Cloverdale PD, so that was really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. On to Cloverdale High School and JH.
Hello, everyone. You have my report as submitted.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now on to special education. and Student Services.
You also have my report as submitted.
Thank you. Just making sure if anyone has any questions, I'm trying to pause more so that if there are, we're good to go. Now on to MOT, please.
Hello, everybody. My report is also as submitted.
And I liked the article.
Thank you.
Connect. Thank you very much. And on to Business Services report.
Mine is not as submitted. We're going to do it a little differently. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be part of a monthly business report that we do with the board. Thank you. And our first slide is about enrollment, and you should have a copy of this in front of you because I know it's kind of difficult to see. But this is... Yeah, there's more copies back there. This is our enrollment by month. And it's interesting to look at the trends. The month that we get our baseline on, that we have our census day on, is the first Wednesday of October. So this October count is extremely important. And you can see that last October we had 1303, and this October we have 1248. That's a loss of 55 students. That's a lot. And unfortunately, they don't come in cute little groups of 20. You know, they're spread out all over. So that's our enrollment currently, and then each month we will update this on the first Wednesday of the month and continue to bring this along. The next slide is our average daily attendance. And this is by attendance month for average daily attendance. And this is so the enrollment is what we have to base our expenditures on, but the ADA is what we get our revenue on, right? And so this one is going to show a comparison, again, from year to year, from this year to last year for each month that we have up until P2. P2 is when we get funded. And each of those months then, and it shows the percentage next to it of attendance for each of those periods. So like, for instance, Jefferson Elementary School this month, in month 3, has 443 ADA and had an attendance rate of about 95%. Do you have any questions about this slide? Okay, and we'll update this each month.
Good job on attending improving our attendance compared to last year. I know the sites have been working on that, so that's good job.
Yep, the sites are doing a really good job with that. Yep, that's good. Okay, and then, so then let's talk about revenues a little bit. So these are unrestricted revenues. This is the general fund and the Education Protection Act account. And the primary thing for them is we get the LCFF revenues, which is the local control funding formula, which we had to do instead of the revenue limit calculation. And we are budgeted this year for $17,269,000. All of these numbers are going to change this next month when we have our first interim report, but this is as of June 30th. And then this shows as of October 31st, where we are, what we have received, and then we're going to get into expenditures too. But so far, this is what we've got. So we've got 21% of our LCFF revenues, other state revenues, and other state revenues is primarily let's see. It's like the mandated cost grant, block grant that we get, and it's our home to school transportation. Those are the things that are coded there. And then the other local revenues that we get, the $182,000, that's like leases that we have, like with Head Start. It's interest that we earn on the accounts and some miscellaneous fees. Anytime Luis and Carlos collect money for tech or something like that, that's where it goes. So those are our unrestricted revenues at this time, and at this time, our total, we've received 21% of our revenues. Any questions? Okay, and this is where your ADA comes. This is how this is right where it transfers to, this is where it generates these funds. All right, so now let's talk about expenditures. And again, I just want to remind everybody, this is the June budget, and this is only through October 31st. So it's just kind of a snapshot. You can see that we've kind of spent 30% of our certificated salaries and benefits. We've spent 50% of our books and supplies, which I would expect because we needed to prep and have everything ready for when school started, so that makes sense to me. Our operating, service and operating expenses right now, it's budgeted at 1.4 in this category, and we've spent 16% so far, and we're just a couple of months into the year, so that makes sense as well. Overall, we're at, as of October 31st, we're at 27%. So does anyone have any questions about that?
Straightforward.
Okay, thank you. And we'll be updating this regularly with you guys. So the next slide is about contributions. And these are contributions that are made from the general fund to other places that require those transfers. So like, for instance, we're required to make a 3% transfer from the general fund to what is called the routine restricted maintenance account. And that's because this district accepted Leroy Green funds way back when. And so ever since we got those funds, we have to make sure that we're setting aside money specifically for maintenance of our buildings, because the state wants to make sure that we're going to take care of what they've paid for, right? So that is the minimum requirement there. That doesn't usually happen. We don't usually make that transfer until the end of the year. The next one is for special education. And special education, Sonoma County is interesting. They have the least amount of money I've ever seen funding special education. It's really quite shocking to me compared to other counties. And our contribution to special education is estimated at the almost $3.2 million. That'll be reconciled at the end of the year, and we don't have a lot of control over our special ed costs. You know, those costs are student-driven, based on student need and what we need to help those students be successful. So right now it's estimated at 3.1, but that may change, because I know we've had a couple of significant changes with special education already at the beginning of this year. The third category then is our supplemental concentration funds, which is part of the local control funding formula and part of our local control, LCAP, Local Control Accountability Plan. There we go. There's too many acronyms, so I'm trying not to use acronyms. That is also the amount that is calculated based on the number of students we have as unduplicated students. Now, unduplicated count means we have our free and reduced, students that qualify for free and reduced meals, students that are foster youth, and truly foster youth, not the kids that are living with grandma and she thinks she's fostering them. It's truly the ones that are in the state program. And then the third one is students that are designated as EL, English learners. That doesn't necessarily mean that that means that they are in some sort of program receiving services for English language learners, okay? So those three numbers, and then if you have one person that is maybe in all three of those categories, they're only counted once.
Well, and homeless is another one too, right?
That is part of that too, yeah. So those categories then make up the supplemental concentration dollars that we get that then fund the local control accountability plan, which we have to do in June, and we follow, and that's helped students and things like that. So that's the amount of money at this point in June when we did the budget. That's going to change again in December because we're going to be doing first interim. We're going to update everything. So these numbers change all the time. So this is where we are though right now. The last one then is our ending fund balance, and the state required reserve is 3%, and as of this budget, it was $673,572. There's a board commitment to get to 10%, which would be an additional 7%, and that's $432,809. and that equates to about 1.93% in June, that's what it was, and for a total of the 1.1 million. And again, these are going to change next month, so don't get too attached to these numbers. We're going to do something different next month, so. Any questions about any of these slides? Okay.
Thank you so much.
As submitted.
Thank you, Krista. Now on to our student board representative report.
So for this month, a lot of guys still talk about it's really uncomfortable to go to the bathroom since there are no stalls in between the urinals. And because there's a new tardy policy, students have talked about wanting to have the 5-minute passing period like last year. The 4 minutes, especially with the new school schedule now, it's kind of hard for some students, like they have PE across the street and they have to go to English, which is across the campus, and then they also have to go to their lockers and go to the bathroom. So having that 1 extra minute does really just help them. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Oh,
I'm just curious, was there always the screens missing from the urinals, or did they get removed for a certain reason?
From what I've been told, my classmates said that one of the stalls was loose, and so they took just all of them down, so now there are no stalls, and there's like the one big stall, but in between the urinals, there's no like barrier in between them.
Okay.
They were ripped off the wall. Sorry.
if you would, yes.
The dividers between the urinals are the ones in question, and last year we had multiple times where they were broken, and then finally they were completely ripped off the wall. So I don't know if they were hanging on them, kicking them, but they were definitely vandalized.
Thank you. Okay, now on to board reports. Who would like to start?
I will start. I attended the FFA opening and closing ceremony, got that right, as one of the judges. In the group that I was in, we had a Cloverdale group and they all did really great, so I was really impressed. And it was really cool to be there, so if you're ever invited to judge that, I would encourage you to do it. And that's all.
Thank you.
I can do this. We did attend the Jefferson Elementary School Halloween parade. It's always a blast. I had 2 kids there and lots of soccer players. So, and that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also attended the Jefferson School Parade, and that was great. That was fun. I also was able to attend the last football games. That was great. Watch that in season. We also did. Man, I drawn a blank on. Anyways, yeah, I'll come back to that one. Can't get that one out. Yeah.
Thank you.
I attended the SARB meeting, and as Ms. LeVay said in her report, there was 1 new referral, and then we also just review everybody that is on the SARB contract to kind of see where their attendance currently is, if we send them a congratulations letter, or if we need to continue to monitor them or recall them back in. But so far, there's been a lot of positive changes. And then I just wanted to remind everyone that tomorrow at Jefferson Elementary School, there's a coffee chat at 2 p.m. Where myself and Trustee Ogamian will be there. And if you can't attend them, you're always welcome to email us and reach us that way too. So.
Okay, awesome reminder. Just like my other trustees, attended the Halloween parade. That was like the highlight of my fall. It was absolutely fantastic. And then tomorrow night, we're having our CTE Advisory Committee meeting here at 6 p.m. to look over some hopefully really cool stuff. So excited for that. But that is the end of my report.
I remember now. It was the homecoming skits. That was great. That was a good time.
Okay, so superintendent report, as submitted.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Okay. So, report discussion, Measure H update.
Same, as submitted. Okay.
It's looking so good.
I have something to discuss later.
Okay, yeah. On to our MTSS update.
Yeah, there's no slideshow, so you're just going to have to go up. So why don't you keep going a little bit farther to the next page? Okay, so we had talked about having MTSS discussions at the board level a few times a year. And so this impact report is what we use at the school district to be able to define basically what our tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 kids would where they would fall, essentially. So what I want to do is I want to let you know kind of how to read this report that we've got. So so if you can go one more down. Yeah, if you could make that a little bit bigger so everybody can see that. Keep going. Yeah, if you can. So we have our, this is the district as a whole, right? And then you have multiple pages after that will go by grade level. Some of the data is blank because like in TK, we don't obviously do some of those and so on. All of the numbers that you're going to see are percentages. Okay, so if you look at the first one, we talk about reading there. We have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and those are the percentages in this fall that that the kids fall into, no pun intended, of course, for the current school year. And so our tier 1 is basically going to be everyone if they don't need any supports, for example, right? And the way that we define these is basically that we have, if a student is, God, I'm trying to think of what that's called. Is it going to be above standard, or I'm trying to think of what that is? At or above is going to be tier 1 that they're meeting, and then if you have below standard is going to be tier 2, and then far below standard is going to be tier 3. So if you look at that, the 42% of the kids that are at or above grade level, or excuse me, not grade level, the standard, and then tier 2 is 22.6, which would mean that they just in reading, right, would have had below, and then the T3 is tier 3, 35.4%, means that they would be far below. Does that make sense? Okay. And then on math is the same. So it's going to be 25%, 23.1%, and 51.9%. So remember that I'll get to that in a second. Attendance is basically, we have two different categories there, so we combine tier 2 and tier 3. And so basically attendance is if they've missed less than 10% of the days of school, they're going to be in tier 1. And if they've been more than 10 days of school, they're going to be in tier 2 and tier 3 combined. All right? The discipline referrals, the tier 1s are going to be the percentage of students who have 0 or 1 referral. And tier 2 is between 2 and 5 referrals, and tier 3 is more than 6 referrals. All right? And then SABRS, which is going to be new this year, which is our social emotional screener. And so tier 1 is defined as percentage of students with low risk, and tier 2 is defined as a percentage of students with some risk. And then 3.3 or tier 3 would be with high risk. And these definitions are the couple pages up that are going to be in this form here. All right? One thing just to remind, and so as the year goes on, you're going to get scores in the winter and then in the spring as well. Now, it won't, for example, if a kid moves from tier 3 to tier 2, right? The idea would be is we want tier 3 percentages to go down, but they're going to have to go somewhere, right? So they can't all increase, right? Or all decrease, right? Because chances are if it decreases in tier 3, tier 2 and tier 1 should increase. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway, this is a way for us to be able to basically aggregate the data into the different pieces so that we can see that and see where some of our concerns may lie. And again, this is the district as a whole. And then as you see, if you go down different pages, it's going to give you the different grade levels for that part. And I don't think Sabres goes below third grade? There you go. So, and then some of the things, I think if you go down one, bunting to the next one, TK, you see TK doesn't have the early literacy and the numerous because of just the ages that they are, right? So everybody see that? So the idea also is that everything it's very synonymous with what's going on, right? So the whole district is going to have the same format that they're looking at, and so on. I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that information here. Again, this is just initially just to give you initial numbers on what's going on. And we don't have we don't have a ton of data yet because we've just started the last couple of years of getting this data together. Yeah.
Is this the first year of doing this?
No, we did it last year too. Sabres, this is the first year.
And then are we going to use the data, like a rubric, to kind of check and see how it's changing from year to year with grade to grade, see if it changes, like kindergartners from last year?
Yes.
First grade from last year to second grade to this year, is it?
Correct, yes. Once we get more data.
Okay.
And I think this year is a little bit better because I think we have a little bit more continuity with what we're doing on our assessments, basically. So, and again, anytime you're starting something new, you're going to go through some of that. But this is what I wanted to talk about with, this is, I think, a good discussion points to the board so you can kind of see how the numbers are working and everything like that too. Again, we don't have a lot of comparison right now because this is kind of our first one for the year. But the process would be is in the next few years, you will have like 3 or 4 different ones for the district that are all filled in, right? So we'll start being able to do that and track that as it goes, right? Much like we do with the dashboard and things like that. This is just a little bit more often that we do it rather than having to wait until next year for this year's data for the dashboard and things like that. So anything else you guys want to add on that? Yeah.
I was just going to add.
So I was just going to add, we didn't add our fall to winter goals, but after we look at the data, we respond to that data by having conversations at the site levels on what we're going to do to change that data. So one of the things that Jefferson, we have implemented UFly, which is our K2 phonics program. And so a lot of the numbers that we saw this year was in response to that. So then when we look at our ELA numbers, then we make decisions, okay, that's going well, so then what else can we do? So once those numbers are up there, then we at the site levels have conversations and make goals on what we can implement to start changing those numbers. So just want to add that.
Yeah, and you will see all that added in the next time we have it. This is just the first for the fall. Right? You guys have anything else? Okay.
I have a question.
Questions about that? Yeah.
For like attendance, the 93% is in tier 1, 7% is the combined tier 2 and tier 3. Is that driven from our attendance that we're getting from each site? Just like the attendance record?
Yeah, so basically I just went in and got that information through Aries, just finding out. I had Luis basically just show how many kids, what percentage of the kids.
That 7%, are they on either SAR or SARB?
Probably in varying degrees, potentially, but you could also have a kid who this might be their first time absent, right, where they're more than 10%. Where he had an illness, for example, in the beginning of the year that might not be at that. But those kids, that's where those kids would live, essentially, yes, in that percentage.
Any other questions?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So now moving on to CTE facilities.
Hi, everyone. My name is Riley Dale. I'm the floral teacher, vet science teacher, and also the CTE coordinator for Cloverdale High School. I wanted to introduce the other CTE teachers that are here tonight. Angelica Rigi, who's an ag teacher, farm to table expert. And then we have Anna Ramirez. She is our child development teacher. And then we have Sadie DeMarta. She is our ag science, animal science expert as well. So we have a great CTE team. And last spring, I presented to you some of the exciting things that we've been up to. And I think it was that following week, our CTE advisory committee, who is made up of a bunch of industry professionals who provide us some direction on how we should operate our programs, spend our resources, professional developments that we should be going to. They adopted 4 goals for the next 5 years. So we had a really lengthy discussion about what does CTE want to be doing, what direction do we need to be headed towards, so that everything that we do, all these grants that we're receiving, has intention behind them. So I want to share all of them with you, even though I'm here to talk about one. The first is have CTE pathway completion, or 2 course completion as a graduation requirement. The second is to bring the wheel class to Washington Middle School. The third is to add strong integrated pathways to general education, so then all teachers are a part of our CTE philosophy and we're all working towards that mission. And then finally, the reason that I'm here tonight is the goal to enhance and update our CTE facilities. We start most of our CTE advisory committee meetings with a tour of our facilities to talk about how we are in the moment using that space. So today I went in and I sniped some photos of our teachers in action. So Miss DeMarta is teaching in the hall right across from us. She has 2 sinks and is teaching science. She was doing an adorable demonstration with a bunny rabbit, and it's just a traditional classroom that she's teaching these science courses in. So there's a definite need there for her. I think it's a safety need as well, making sure that we're able to conduct science in a space that is conducive to that. And then Miss Rigi today, they were drying herbs in farm to table, and I was able to capture the room. If you haven't been in there, it's like taking a time machine back to the 70s, maybe the 60s. The cabinets are pink, purple, mauve, whatever color you want to call it. And she's made excellent use of the space that she has, but it is tight quarters in there, small kitchens that the kids are working in. She has teams of 4 or 5. And then I added a photo of her storage space because it's so small and it's so organized. She's literally the most organized person I've ever met, but things are stacked on top of each other because there's so much stuff that we need to make our programs happen. And so there's storage needs as well. And then Miss Ramirez has an adorable classroom. It's honestly so cute. It's a portable right across here. And her classroom, it's a classroom. It's a portable. But with child development, last year we were able to utilize with our block bell schedule a lot of time walking over to Jefferson to interact and engage with students, but because of the new bell schedule and also the facilities that she has, it's not a great it's not a space that littles would be able to come and maybe do some of that work that we were doing at Jefferson on our own campus. And Windsor High School has actually built like a little lab for them to do library hours in, but we don't have that that space. It doesn't exist quite yet. So there is a need to update our facilities. And just in general, I've talked to people, no one knows when the last time a new building came to CHS. And so we have a really unique opportunity right now. The state, under Prop 2, has allocated funds for new facilities on school campuses and specifically set aside an allocation for CTE facilities. And so they released a grant application at the end of May asking for districts to submit for a one-to-one match for projects that are specifically related to CTE. And so we are trying to capitalize on this opportunity that is right in front of us to strategically utilize dollars from the state that the state is willing to give out, and also to address a need that our advisory board has identified, that our teachers have identified, and also our students know that our facilities need to be updated. So we've been doing our homework. I've talked to Glenn a little bit, Michael as well, about how this can all get off the ground, and we've been trying to find some inspiration for what could this look like, because if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. So here's some inspo photos I would love to share. Aldento High School in Southern California, they have a children's center ran out of their high school. The students are operating labs and activities and curriculum all day long. It's super cool. They have an indoor and an outdoor lab, and so we drew inspiration from that. Our Children's Museum in Sonoma County, if you have ever been, it is fantastic. I've been to a lot because I have 2 little kids, and I think Sonoma County has the best. And so we've been talking to people at the Children's Museum, and then also the Children's Center at SRJC. They've been excellent partners with us. They are members of our advisory committee, and they are a great model for what facilities could look like. So we drew from that for inspiration. For our science classroom that we're hoping to build, or implement. San Luis Obispo High School was an inspiration, and so was Kern High School in the Valley. They have really robust vet science programs. It's really neat to see how live animals are able to come onto their campus often, and their facilities support that through kenneling, dog washing. Like, it's just a really neat way that they're getting students excited about careers in animal science and vet medicine. And then for our farm-to-table classroom, the need is really in the kitchen space, and finding a way to leverage the culinary piece of it. And what's unique to Sonoma County is that we have all this farm to table, and so finding a way to blend business practices and implement that into a culinary space. So farm to table blends those 2 goals. So we took a little field trip to Healdsburg High School to see their culinary kitchen and draw inspiration from that, as well as Tamales High School just built a brand new building for their farm to table program, and then just researching other culinary institutes and whatnot to see what is functional and usable for our students potentially. So we know that there's this need for a new building. We've done some homework on what we think we want, what would be best for us, and then Krista has a plug with an architect, and so we reached out to him. He came and visited our site, and we have some exciting drawings to share tonight. Now, this is a concept. Nothing is set in stone. Absolutely nothing. We've even talked about how things can move, and I think this is close to what we're hoping when we combine all of our ideas together. But you can see just a really dynamic new CTE building that meets the needs of our teachers and of our students, and of this growing CTE program that students are really excited about. You can see there's some indoor classroom spaces and also an outdoor lab space that all of our pathways can take advantage of. There's also a career center in there because we have community members who have asked about why we don't have a career center and are interested in supporting that need to put a career center here on campus. And so just a way to kind of finish the golden thread, if you will, of getting students excited right now about opportunities, giving them some technical skills, and then a space to be able to talk about, well, what's next for you? How can we connect you to the real world? Whether it's through post-secondary education or an apprenticeship or being connected to somebody in our community who has needs for employees. Here are some more just like models of what the space could look like. And a big question that we've had, and I don't know if we have the answer to this even yet, is where would this building go? So currently the proposed site is right next to the tennis courts. It would go where those storage containers, C-trains are. We'd relocate those. It would be tight though. And so we'd also have to pull plumbing from the street because there's no plumbing back there for student bathrooms, which we also desperately need at CHS because we only have one student bathroom on site. So the location is currently right here. We'd need to move modular, which would also cost some money, but this is a good spot for it. So this is what we think is like the best, cleanest slate for us to work with. But nothing is set in stone. The concept, the renderings, the location, we're just kind of pie in the sky thinking, what could this be? Where could it go? And the discussion is ongoing. So how will we pay for it? Well, the architect shared a budget with me on Monday, and the number is about $18 million for the cost of this new building. It's just not cheap building at schools. So how would we fund this? We're able to apply for up to $6 million of the CTE Facilities Program grant. So that would take a huge chunk of it off our plate. And if this shakes out the way I'm hoping it would, the district wouldn't have to chip in for this building either, because I would love to come up with a professional and organized and intentional fundraising plan to help support the rest of the cost of this building. I've already contacted the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Cloverdale. They recognize that this is a part of their economic development plan. So the Chamber has actually given us a letter of support to help us find the match and be a part of that initiative. So we already have partners invested in the concept of this, and people in our community recognize that there's a need for this, a need for getting youth excited about the workforce. We also have the CTE Foundation that we partner with, so leveraging their relationships that they have with a bunch of foundations across Sonoma County. They said that they would be willing to set up meetings for us. And am I missing anything else? And we did receive about $1 million last year to use towards equipment to upgrade her facility, or the farm to table classroom. So we would hopefully just pay for all of our equipment that would go in these buildings with the Golden State Pathways grant funds. So there's a plan, an ambitious plan, but I'm excited about it. I think this is something exciting that people are willing to get behind, and it's just a concept. But our next steps will be to get approval from our CTE Advisory Committee. We meet tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in room 2. They're going to provide feedback on the grant application and the plans about what, if those spaces are really meeting industry needs and preparing students for industry. Next is also approval of the application from the district's governing board. That's you guys. And then the application is due December 1st. So it's a pretty tight turnaround for this grant application. In the meantime, like after we've submitted the application, I don't want to lose that momentum because there's a lot of exciting energy right now behind it. So I think still gathering feedback on the facility, doing some outreach, maybe reaching out to some donors to see if they'd be interested in it. And then in March, we're supposed to find out if we get the facilities grant and if we're awarded it. So that's when I feel like we would maybe come back together and decide if we want to continue down this path or if we want to pivot. So these are the next steps for us. And with that, I want to open it up to your questions, your comments, your feedback.
I'm going to be looking at this more in depth tomorrow night, so I am good for the moment. Anybody else, any questions?
I think it's a great vision and a great program. Yeah, I like that you're putting the effort into this. I think it's great.
Thanks.
So the grant is 6 million.
Correct.
So that means you need, what, 12, additional 12? Is that what you're estimating?
Yes.
And, well, it seems like you know what you're doing in regards to writing grants and all that jazz, which I'm very thankful for, that we don't have to very thankful for that. I do agree with you, it is very ambitious. I still don't know how, right now, there's no decision making, but continue to do what you're doing. I just worry that it seems like a lot from my perspective.
That's fair.
But I don't want to stop you doing what you do. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm rambling.
No, totally. I agree. It is ambitious, and we've talked about how it is an ambitious goal to raise that much money. And I guess to that, if we were unsuccessful in raising it, then we would just pull out from the grant. So there's ways that we could pivot, or ways that we can maybe fulfill a smaller goal, but this is pie in the sky, and we could always tailor it down if need be. So I hear what you're saying, and I do agree. But I'm an ambitious person.
What was the total?
$18 million was the estimate. Some perspective, the new Tamales building, they estimated that it was going to cost them $3 million, and it cost I think $2 million. So it wasn't quite as high as they thought it was going to be either. So I'm hoping that that's the case, but $18 million is the number that we would have to commit to fundraising for.
Is there a time limit on when you have to spend CTE grant money?
That has not been identified in the request for the application.
That was my question. When it's announced in March of 2026, when would they release the funds? Or is there certain steps that you have to meet before they release that? Do you have to have the matching money in order for it to be released? Is it like certain stages? Do you have to spend it by a certain date? And if you didn't receive the matching funds, do you have to return the monies back to them? Those were some that I
Yeah, those are great questions. I'm going to try and remember all of them. If we did not have the matching funds, then we would return the money. Okay, and then...
So you can't spend it before having the matching funds?
Because
Because otherwise, if you spent it, you'd have to pay it back, but you may not have...
Yes,
funds
but
to pay
it could be awarded to us, and then, let's say we spent the $6 million, and then we didn't match the $6 million, then they would come knocking at our door for $6 million. That makes sense. So they do release the funds.
Okay.
So in March, what would happen is then that would kind of activate a 1-year time span for us to bring a resolution to the board. We'd need to have a 5-year facility plan together that we would submit with the proposal, and then we would need to have a timeline submitted to the state of when we're going to finish this project. So we have a 1-year grace period to kind of get all of our material together and formalize, to work with DSA, get their approval on our building, and then we can start. Then they'll release the funds once we have all of that collected. So we have a year to submit that to them.
And then 5 years to build?
I'm not sure about the timeline for building it. That was not specified in anything that I've read. I do know for the equipment for the farm-to-table classroom, we have 4 years left to spend that $1 million, if that's helpful. So that, in my mind, I'm hoping that these two grants are in tandem, so then we have a place to put the equipment.
I'm excited because you're excited about it, and I appreciate that you are fully aware that the district has $0 to contribute to it, and that you're still willing to move forward with this project. As of right now, with what you've presented, I'm in support of it. but I just want to make sure that, you know, we're successful and not putting all this work into something that, you know, may not work out. So, but I'm excited that you have all these connections and, you know, ideas to, you call it, what was it? Something fundraising. Intentional fundraising. And
Intentional professional.
yeah, I guess, can you elaborate what that looks like? Are you reaching out to, you know, large businesses and corporations and maybe even people in the industry and like, hey, we'll name the building after you if you contribute X amount of dollars to it or something like that? I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are.
That is the plan. That's
Okay.
the goal. And it wouldn't be like it's not a Facebook campaign. It's let's sit down together and talk about the whole project. Let's talk about what are your needs, what do you want in the workforce, what are you hoping that these programs are teaching students. So then it feels like a partnership. And so it wouldn't just be me, it would be a team. It'd be all of us kind of doing this campaign together and putting our name out there and everybody knowing what the narrative is behind the project so that we're all out there communicating the message and we believe in the fundraising campaign. So I guess that's what I meant by it. A lot of one-on-one meetings.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I guess my question is if, let's say we get the fundraising going and we get all this to fruition, how do you envision the project being managed? How is it going to be, how are decisions going to be made? What do you envision that process looking like?
In the budget, there is a project manager. I don't think it'd be any of us. It'd probably be, I'm not sure how like the Jefferson project played out, but we'd probably have somebody that would consult with us on certain decisions, but that would keep the project moving along. So it is budgeted for in that 18 million.
Any other questions? Before we let Riley go sit.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now on to P1, consideration and acceptance of donations. PG&E and the Blackbaud Giving Fund donated $40 to JEH Continuation High School. So thank you so much. And do I have a motion?
I move to accept the donations.
Okay, motion by trustee Garrison,
I'll second.
second from trustee O'Gamion. Preferential?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Now on to P2, consideration and possible approval of Jefferson School TKK project interior and exterior paint color.
Luis, were you able to put up any sort of presentation, or I could, it's a really quick one, or you got it, Kev? Thank you.
Yep, here's the,
Oh, awesome, there it is.
I'm glad that they're not just.
Yeah, the color didn't
Yeah,
come
exactly.
through very well on our,
And they're black and white, yeah. That's pretty funny. So we were going through a typical process when looking to get these colors knocked out, looking at previous submittals and looking at brush outs and comparing them to the existing site. But then I got clued in a little bit more that we want to make sure that we're in this together and we're bringing this to the board and that we're all on the same page as far as the colors are concerned. So that's kind of where we're at with things. So put together a quick little presentation that's going to kind of go over that just so you kind of have an understanding of where we ended up with colors. Here's a submittal from the Jefferson project before the TK modular buildings. That's going to be from the 2-story. And that's going to note what the most recent colors that were done at the school campus painting as well on the recent 2-story project. It's really tiny in the left-hand corner. You kind of have to pull it up and zoom it in. But it's going to mention the Tranquil Taupe, the Jasmine Hollow, the Dark Secret, and the Swiss Coffee being an interior color that's going to be used district-wide. So if there's a touch-up needed, Michael can just grab the same, off-white color and paint throughout wherever needed be. So the existing colors at Jefferson are going to display these colors. So I threw in the presentation just a couple photos of that. You'll see the Dark Secret on the door. You'll see, the lighter shade. it's kind of used differently throughout the site. So you'll see, maybe when you pull into the front drop off right now, you'll notice that the cafeteria NPR is one shade of the brown, and then the building that sits in front of it is the other shade of the brown. And you'll kind of see that throughout campus used differently. But specifically when looking at the new project, it kind of has this sort of stucco presentation in the front of the building where there's going to be a line that runs across it, and other people that have, used these JLM buildings will kind of use that as an advantage to kind of create like a wainscoting in a way. So kind of two-tier the painting. So that's what we're doing there. We're taking the existing colors that have been used throughout the site and then just placing that in a two-tone on the front of the building. And then on the back of the building, you're just seeing it run with the all lighter color. Pretty straightforward stuff. Again, the same colors used from the submittal. And I have the brush outs for these colors to actually go put in the light that have actually been painted on a folder, essentially, to go really put next to the building to make sure that we're all on the same page as well. For the interior, it's going to be a lot of casework. We went through and worked with the site for the tack board colors and everything, which is this kind of fabric-y material. But as far as the paint's concerned, it's just going to be the Swiss coffee on the interior. So an off-white that's already getting used throughout campus. And then for the restrooms, we're doing from about chest high on me down in FRP, which is like a vinyl kind of plastic, easy to clean, easy to replace type of material. That's going to be in a white to off-white. And then the dark secret the architect had put as the color above. I'd met with Michelle and said, are you interested in a Swiss coffee or the darker blue? We kind of were both thinking that the Swiss coffee kind of maybe creates a little bit of a sterile kind of hospital, and their little kids are not that, so kind of the nice darker color that's seen throughout the campus with the FRP below it, the vinyl paneling, looked good. That was kind of the one where I think there is maybe a toss-up on preference, but it's within the restroom, so it's kind of a hidden preference. Oh, geez, that quick already? All right, that's no fun. I think also something to note as well is the roofing color. So the roofing color, we received samples from the manufacturer for the roofing company, a wheel of essentially like 40 different colors, and I was able to sit there and look at the metal roofing and the downspout paint and everything and put them all up next to it and chose the color that was darn near identical. So that's how we get to the Blue Regal, which is just a manufacturer metal color. Okay. So just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. So any questions, any concerns about the way we approached it, or?
I just like the consistency throughout the site and the district.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That makes it easy.
For the site, the exteriors, then the Swiss coffee being used will save maintenance time and the thinking process of every building having a different interior shade of white. So, because they look similar, but when you do go to touch up, it's so obvious. So, any other questions on it? Cool.
I think we're good. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve item P2.
Okay, trustee Lopez White, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee O'Banian, preferential?
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Now on to P3, consideration and possible approval of revision to board policy 4040, employee use or use of technology. Any questions, discussion, or do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve. P3.
I have a motion from trustee Zekwitz. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Lopez White. Preferential?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. On to future agenda items. Q1, facility use policy. Would any board trustee like to add anything that we want to make sure that comes on for December?
My thing would be is the two reports we talked about. So I know the next MTSS one won't come until the winter. We talked about that. Is there anything you'd like to see on, anything additional you'd like to see on the budget report that we're bringing in now monthly? Or just is the stuff that we talked about there? We'll try to dig in, maybe each month, we'll try to dig in maybe one of those categories a little bit deeper on each one of them, but overall, I thought that was okay. Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, on to future board meeting dates. Our next meeting will be December 10th at 6 p.m.
we don't have after that because we have the
The next
The adoption, the
the
reorganization.
adoption thing, yeah.
Yep.
And then also, we talked about needing to, possibly another special meeting for us to, because we have a hearing coming up. And so, depending on it, so it might be next Wednesday, week from today, or is everybody still good with that next Wednesday?
I have a staff meeting.
How about the rest of you four? You're what?
Oh, actually,
Out of town, set for the 19th?
no, actually, I have parent-teacher conference from 2:20 to 2:40 up here, so I have to miss it. So I will be available in the
Okay,
afternoon.
okay. And then what about the second and third? Yeah, Jackie?
The 19th, yes.
The 19th, I was, and I hope my wife didn't. That should be good.
Okay. How about the second and the third? Just these are other possible dates.
That should.
That's a Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Tuesday, Wednesday.
I'm not on Tuesday, and Wednesday I won't be talking if I do come very much.
So no 2 and no 3.
I mean, I could come on 3, but I
Okay.
will be.
How's everybody else? You're saying no? You're out? Okay. So we got a quorum at least. So, okay. And I'll let, so just be, you don't have to hold anything yet, but we'll let you guys know when we find that information out.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn at 7:05?
I move to adjourn at 7:05.
Okay, second.
I'll second.